Welcome everyone to the 9th annual Green Source DFW Sustainability Leadership Awards. As if you've been to the prior awards dinners, you know we would normally be standing in the middle of the Arboretum, totally decorated out, just beautifully with a buffet and unlimited wine. But we're Zoom, but at least we are still kicking. We are still going forward. We have very short remarks tonight, and then we will be going into the awards. And then in the not very distant future, we will have Moses Boyd, our keynote speaker. I urge all of you to stick around if you possibly can and listen to Moses. So we will. I'll keep my jokes short, and we will let the awardees have a chance to talk, and then we will finish up with Moses. So good. And I'm getting everybody's little chats, and I appreciate that. Like I say, anything positive is good. Traditionally, we always start with a prayer. It's usually Gregory Gomez. Gregory Gomez from New Mexico is a Lipan Mescalero Apache, president and co-founder of the Indigenous Institute of the Americas. He's also one of our Memnosyne board members. And for those of you who don't know, Green Source DFW is part of the Memnosyne family. Memnosyne Institute has been around 10 or 15 years, and we are very lucky to have them as our primary benefactor to keep Green Source DFW on the air, so to speak. But Gregory always starts us out with a Native American prayer, but he's not able to make it tonight. So I wanted to share a couple things with you that I've studied over the years, and I wanted to share it with you. This is a letter from Chief Seattle to the President of the United States. One thing we know, which the white man may one day discover, our God is the same God. You may think now that you own him as you wish to own our land, but you cannot. He is the God of man, and his compassion is equal to the red man and the white. The earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. The whites too shall pass, perhaps sooner than all the other tribes. Continue to contaminate your bed, and you will one night suffocate in your own waste. Now, that's a really nice thought to start our meeting with, but that was from 1854. They were telling the powers that be that we were already destroying many parts of our country, and that we needed to clean up our act. The next thing I want to open with is something from Ed McGaw, also known as Eagle Man. He is an Oglala Sioux. He also was a fighter pilot in Vietnam with 110 combat missions. I think for whatever reason, there's been the perception that the environmental community were somewhat a slang term is that we were all weak sisters. Well, we now know the sisters aren't weak, and we know that the environmental movement and the activists are not weak, but Ed McGaw, Eagle Man, 110 combat missions. Let me tell you what Ed McGaw says. It is the world that we live in. If the Native Americans keep all their spirituality within their own community, the old wisdom that has performed so well will not be allowed to work its environmental medicine on the world, where it is desperately needed. Global warming, acid rain, overpopulation, and deforestation are real. It is a mess, and all of us two-leggeds will have to work together to get ourselves out of it. A spiritual fire that promotes a communal commitment to a worldwide environmental undertaking is needed. Native or primal ways will fuel that fire and give it a great power. I call on all experienced Native American traditionalists to consider coming forward and sharing their knowledge. Come forth and teach how Mother Earth can be revered, respected, and protected. So part of Memnosyne and Green Source is, and it's part of our strength. We have been
Oh,
That's all right, Julie. Did I already upset you that you muted me? That's okay. All right, but part of the strength of Memnosyne is that we are a multicultural organization. Our founders, Marianne and Joshua Thompson-Frenk, have done an incredible job building a team. We want to briefly recognize our team. We certainly have Yolanda Bluehorse, we have Julie, we have Todd Collier at Food Source, we have Kalu, we have Marianne and Joshua, our executive director, Philip Collins, Isabel, public relations, who's with us, Thomas John, our technical expert, Anthony Chisholm, also one of our leaders that keeps us all moving in the right direction. And certainly we want to thank Julie and her husband, Carl, for the technical side of tonight and preparing these beautiful slides. We also have to do a little bit of business. It's not really business, but it is a thank you. Even though we are virtual, we have some incredible sponsors that keep us going. Dallas Sierra Club came in huge this year, keeping us going. And I'll tell you about a new project we have going. EarthX, a year-long sponsor. Natural Awakenings is our media sponsor. Dallas College, also known as Dallas Community College District, they are also one of our best supporters. Smith & Collins, my friend Tom Smith, real estate attorney. And of course, we all know John and Margie Haley, who have been supporters and activists since before it was cool to be green. We had John and Margie Haley. We also have Marianne Mayer Redmond, who's another one of our sponsors. So we just thank you to those people because we have a new project that some of you may be interested in helping with. EarthX now has a new undertaking called EarthX TV. I don't know if any of you have tuned into EarthX TV, but EarthX TV is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 2 channels. So they have a huge need for what I would call locally produced programming and issues, and Green Source DFW is in the process of applying for one of those spots. So if you have an idea that you think would be good on EarthX TV, contact Julie or myself, and we'll take it from there.
already.
What's that, Olika?
I said already. I got a million ideas.
I know a lot of our people do, and I know that Trammell and Karen at EarthX TV are very interested in having local stuff too. They're certainly, they're supporting the big stuff, the wonderful, beautiful films from unbelievable filmmakers, but they're also looking for local talent. And since Olinka and Marcia and other people are getting on PBS, we'll put them as some of our superstars.
Thank you, sir.
You are so welcome. On a lot more serious note, I know, do we have LeBeau on tonight yet?
No.
Again? Okay.
No.
Well, every year we try to give, kudos and recognition to some of our great environmentalists who have passed on in the previous year. And our friend Lee Kelton passed away just a few months ago. And he was very big in the Master Naturalist. He was part of I believe it was the Irish Festival, and he was just always a smile, always willing to help. I met him through Oak Cliff Earth Day, and he just was always the person that would volunteer and work the longest and do the jobs that no one else wanted to do. And again, he just had a wry smile. He made a mean chili, and we miss Lee a lot. And his wife, LeBeau Buchanan, certainly we want only the best for her. And if you know LeBeau, be sure that you give her some extra special love. So Lee, we miss you, and we were lucky to have known you. All right, what do we have next? we have some awards. Everybody says, good. Finally, we get to the awards. Okay. The first, well, we're actually, we moved them in order. Sorry. Do we have them? Yes. The Environmental Justice Award. A word of explanation. We have about 3 categories of awards, some of which are part of the nominating system and the voting system, and other awards are simply what I would say by acclamation, and that people that are universally recognized as bellwethers and of leaders in the environmental movement and doing things that are very important. What you also may not know is that a lot of groups are a little late to the environmental justice world. We all sort of knew that the polluters, always looked for the poorest neighborhoods to do their dirty work. I mean, because they're always looking for cheap land, and they were looking for people who, couldn't fight, but either wouldn't or couldn't fight back. Well, the next 2 award winners are going to tell you that those days are gone, and those days are gone forever. When the polluters come knocking and the lead smelters and the batch plants come knocking in these neighborhoods, they have the community support, and they have the green community support to fight back. And our first winner for the Environmental Justice Award is Miss Olinka Green, who is on our screen. So we need to give Olinka a little bit of a hand.
Hi guys, thank y'all so much. This award means a lot to me, and my friends Bree Jackson, who's not here, and Marcus Russell, I share this with them, and I just want to say thank you so much. The first time I went to one of these awards is when Tamika Duro won hers, and I told Marcus, I said, we're gonna get that award, and here we are. So I want to say thank you to all those people that have inspired us. But I really want to say the person that really inspired me besides Miss Marsha Jackson was Dr. Robert D. Bullard in his book called Dumping in Dixie. Race, class, and environmental quality. So this has been a blueprint for me as far as, a resource, but also Miss Marsha Jackson has been a blueprint as far as standing strong and fighting for what she believes in and fighting for her community. So we might have it, in a book, but I have great examples in my community. So I just want to say thank you so much for this award, and it means a lot. And thank you guys again.
Yeah, Olinka, it's a lot easier when we stand together, isn't it?
I say, yes, it does. Solidarity, my brother, solidarity. If the polluters can stand together, then we can stand together against the polluter.
Absolutely,
all power to the people.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Olinka, and tell Marcus that he is not forgotten.
Okay.
And but we appreciate what you did. I do have a quick question on the bus tour that you helped organize. I believe that was the bus tour. Is that when the general came up from New Orleans?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'll tell a quick story on you and your co-founder. You called me and they said, well, we're going to do this huge bus tour and have all these meals and everything, and we're going to do it in about 45 days. And I said, it takes Sierra Club and a few of us about a year to put something together like that. And so you're going to do it in 45 days. And of course, Olinka said, yes, we are. And yes, you did. And I've been amazed ever since.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. And I get that from my grandmother because she had 18 children. And, 45 days. Yeah, you can't get a bus tour done. Woman had 18 children. She didn't have time management, and she raised all of them. So that's one thing that she taught us. her thing was get her done.
But you definitely got her done, that's for sure.
And so we would hope to be able to do that again coming up. We would love to be able to do it in conjunction with our tent city for the Poor People's Campaign. So maybe there's something we could do. I've got to go because I got to teach another class.
All right.
Y'all
Bye,
got the
Olinka.
address. All right.
Thank
Send me
you,
the
Olinka.
reward. Bye, guys. Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye, Miss Payne. I love you. You rock, Miss Payne. Tell her she rocks.
Okay, she heard.
Wonderful. All
Bye-bye,
right.
Miss Payne.
Our
Bye-bye.
our next winner of the Environmental Justice Award, again by acclamation, is our dear, wonderful Marsha Jackson, who we were talking to earlier, and who had become a rock star, but she didn't seek it. It was forced upon her, literally, by that giant pile in her backyard. But Marsha has stood strong and has become an example for all of us, frankly, to how to fight these people and how to never give up. And so the environmental justice winner, second winner, is Marsha Jackson, and I think we have Marsha with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendell. Thanks to each one of you. I was telling Julie when she sent me an email, I didn't know that I was going to get an award. So I really, really appreciate it. I was just make sure that I was going to be able to jump on and show my support. But you know, it's really been a struggle. And no, I did not think I would be here or living at this house for 25 years, and it just happened. And I, kept calling and calling. And then when you start fighting and activism, you start working with people that you don't know anything about it. So it first started out when I met with Tamika at a meeting. And then we all started getting together and talking, and she invited me to it. Therefore, I met Olinka, Olinka was a very good spokesperson at our press conference. So, you start joining together and networking. And this inspired me also, the fight that we're doing, so I can be able to educate myself more. So now I enrolled for my doctorate in public administration. So it really fascinates me also that in this field working, and people don't know me just like you guys, but the support coming in for the fight for me and my community. So I really, really appreciate it. And I thank you for each one of you. I have a meeting to go to. I'm gonna jump off, but then I'm gonna make sure I come back so I can hear you, Moses.
Marsha, here's that little certificate that you wanted us to mail you.
Oh, wow, that was very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yay.
Very nice. Thank you. Wow. And Wendell, I got to say before I even get off, thank you for your humor, because we really, really enjoyed this. It's been a stressful week this week. And thank you so much. And you just making me feel so comfortable. This is my first visit, so it won't be my last either.
Good. We love you and Olinka and Marcus and all of our new friends and old friends. It's been it's inspiring to me, and inspiring especially to a lot of young people. That the new generation of environmentalists, it seems like it skipped a generation for some reason, but this new generation is going to be superstars. Yeah. They are going to pick up the torch that we are going to hand them, and I have great feelings about our future of all of our groups because of inspiration like Marsha and Olinka.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marsha. Come back and see us when Moses is on, if you can.
I have to log in at 7, and then I'm gonna hang on for a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna come back so I can hear
Moses.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Okay. All right. The next category is a relatively new category, Environmental Science and Innovation Award. We have a couple of years ago, we were looking for new categories, and we figured out from talking to people that, and just looking at the landscape, the environmental landscape, is that to beat the polluters, you have to beat them economically. You have to make it financially, you have to make it financially better to be green than to pollute. And so that's how we came up with this award. It's also been an expanding award. We had some really awesome nominees this year, and they were all so good that we had to divide them up because they were actually very different. And so the first winner of the Environmental Science and Innovation Award is Texas Nameplate Company, Dale Crownover. Did Dale get on with us? Hello, Dale. Can we undo
He's
Dale?
here. I'm working on it. He is
Oh,
here.
okay.
I'm here.
He's here.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello?
let's move him. Yes, we hear you. We see you.
And Dale,
Okay.
you are the winner of what is known as our Corporate Trailblazer Award.
Great.
I heard your story. Kurt Miller has been nominating you for a couple of years, and he finally got through to me and the judges, and he explained to us what you had done, and frankly, it's darn amazing. And so that's what the Corporate Trailblazer Award is for. And we have time if you want to take a minute, tell us a little bit about your company and where you came from and where you are now.
Well, great. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I think it's great what Green Source is doing. Obviously, I want to thank Kurt. He's been pretty persistent, and I do appreciate that. I'm second generation. My father started Texas Nameplate back in 1946. We make metal nameplates you see like on hot water heaters and air conditioners. I'm very fortunate. I have third generation now running the business. So we're one of the few manufacturers that not only are we attracting millennials, but we're retaining the millennials. And I give a lot of credit that because of the environmental aspect that we're pushing. We were bad boys about 40 years ago, and I didn't like being a contributor to pollution. Unfortunately, with EPA, we are what you call highly regulated, so we generate a lot of waste, and we really wanted to be a role model. So that was our game plan, and we've been doing some pretty cool stuff. We built a new facility in Lancaster, and we're trying to encourage all of our competitors to follow in the same footsteps as we are. So anybody that wants to come visit our facility, obviously you're welcome to come. What I'm really proud about, we've done all this volunteer. None of this was required by any EPA or city, state, or federal regulatory issues. Everything we've done was volunteer. We're into the 3 Ps. I'm trying to encourage other leaders to don't be focused on just people and profit, but include the 3rd P is the planet. We need to work on the planet. So I'm very grateful for the award, and I'll do anything I can to help promote, and y'all can use us any way you can to help provide that resource. So I really do appreciate it.
Dale, tell us just real briefly about your recycling. I understand you're recycling your acid, your solvents, and water. Tell me about that process, just a little bit.
Yeah, well, also we're paperless. I'm really quite surprised. Very few organizations are paperless. That was a game changer for us. Even with this COVID, it enabled us to work obviously remotely. But we're one of the very few nameplate companies in our industry, but we rejuvenate our acid, which means that we get to use it like 3 times longer. We reclaim all of our solvent, which is kind of huge. We recycle our water. The only water that we buy from the city of Lancaster is domestic water. We're one of the very few organizations that recycle our water. We designed a machine that completely eliminates VOCs, which a lot of people don't really know what a VOC is. VOC is known as smog. But we absolutely have eliminated all of our smog. It's really a lot of fun what we're doing. And, you know, people ask why we did it. And the first thing we say is just the right thing to do. And we've gotten, Marshall did a pretty good article for us, but we have absolutely got a lot of business out of this. The young people that are buying product now, they want to buy from an environmentally friendly organization. And that is proven to be very huge for us. And it's just fun. Well,
we are very pleased to have you in our family and that you stuck with us also. But as I've said before, and Dale, I think you're certainly telling us this straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, is that, you know, when you can make living green and having a sustainable way of life and a sustainable way of manufacturing and still make some money, the dirty competition is going to fall by the wayside.
Sure.
And that's, again, we really appreciate that. And I had your award. It's clear, so it's kind of hard to see, but we will be delivering everybody's award soon. So,
Thank you.
all right. Our next winner, and we had to divide the categories down, is in the environmental science category, and that is our friend Mohammed and Good Faith Energy.
Yay.
I think Mohammed, what was it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago that we met?
5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies. You still look a lot younger than me, but Mohammed is a perfect example of the new young entrepreneurs and science based activists. And we are so glad you are getting this award. And we want you to tell us a little bit about your company and maybe where you're headed in the Good Faith Energy business.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Wendell. Thank you, Julie. There's so many people to thank tonight. It's hard, and I've learned my lesson not to start naming names, which I've already done. Good Faith Energy's vision is to transform our energy ecosystem through smart, sustainable, reliable technology while providing a lasting social and environmental impact. It's our vision statement. It's what we live by. We really care about doing not only the right thing for ourselves, but for the community and the planet. It's so funny. 5 years ago, I met Wendell working at EarthX when I was still kind of dreaming up Good Faith Energy. And there's just so many people, again, that I have to thank and recognize. Been able to build such a great team. I know we have a couple of attendees. I want to give a big shout out to Dan Lipinski and other people from, the North Texas Renewable Energy Group, EarthX, Sierra Club, and Plano Solar Advocates, and so many incredible North Texas nonprofits that have been like an incubator for me in so many ways. So I'm really am grateful and humbled by the award. Love GreenSource, DFW, all the work that Julie and everyone's doing out there. And where we're headed, we're installing a lot of solar, a lot of battery systems. We just installed some solar on our roof, so we're finally a net zero building. We have a 60 kilowatt system on our roof. Just super thrilled by the trajectory where things have gone over the last 5-6 years. And so much more to come. We're installing Tesla solar roofs now, actually the only company in the area, as well as just a variety of other clean energy products. And we really believe in our product. We believe in our service. We believe in the work that we're doing for the community. And we do talk about the triple bottom line, on a daily basis at the company, everything from making sure we compost, making sure we recycle, making sure we use essential oils and not chemicals, just buying organic foods, everything across the board. It's all about, sustainability is not just about energy. And we understand that very well. But again, we're very humbled, very grateful for the award.
Well, you deserve it 1,000%. All right. Our next award from the science category is environmental innovation, and the environmental innovation winner is Deb Terrell. And Deb is with us tonight.
She's here.
She is here. And Deb, we want you to sort of tell us what you've been up to and maybe how you got started, and just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
Okay. This is just such an honor. I just want to say thank you very much, GreenSource. You are just such a valuable resource to the green community. So what I am a farmer, and I farm in Wise County, but I farm a little bit differently than everybody else. So what I do is I grow plants that are very sustainable to the community and also for livestock. So the big plant that I am known for is loofah. So with loofah, I've grown it. In fact, right now I'm at market, but what I do is I share all the benefits of loofah to the community. So with it, it's just such a green plant that you can use it from A to Z. So with that being said, I started out with cat toys, loofah cat toys. Then I went to loofah diffusers. Of course, I make soap. I do farm art with the loofah, like loofah longhorns, loofah pumpkins, loofah Christmas trees. But again, the main thing that I'm working on now is Chidama loofah. It's like Kokedama, where they wrap plants in sphagnum moss and string. But what I'm doing is I'm taking loofah and taking a plant, wrapping it in the loofah in the string and calling it Chidama loofah. So it's a new product for North Texas. It is so sustainable, but again, it's doing very well in the marketplace and I'm sharing it all over the place. I think it's a new horticultural practice that the world will enjoy. And the only other thing I'm doing right now is growing moringa. So moringa is an amazing superfood. And with that being said, I am sharing the word of moringa to everybody that is at the local markets. I have had so many partners over the years. And as you know, I'm a beekeeper. So I grow these plants for the bees. So here in Texas, it's not easy to be a beekeeper, but loofah is an amazing plant for the bees. The flower provides both pollen and nectar to the bees. And moringa is great for bumblebees. I'm still working on the honeybee with the moringa, but right now, moringa is basically a great plant for the bumblebee. So our farm is all about wellness for people, pets, pet stocks. So if you want to learn how to be innovative and develop new farm products, contact us. And once again, Green Source, you've been excellent resource for the community. And I have so many other partners that I work with, all the farmers all over North Texas. Thank you very much for this award. It's fantastic.
There's a reason why you got the Innovation Award. We are so impressed, but you do emphasize one thing, is that the environmental community is really an environmental family. You know, it crosses everything from, you know, from the nameplate to with Good Faith Energy to the farmer, and we're all family, and that's what makes it fun. All right, now we get into the next category, which is always the next two are hotly contested. And the reason that is that so many people are involved. We have so many conservation activists working in so many different areas. We have 3 nominees this year in this category. Nominee number 1 is Brandon Belcher. And Brandon was just talking with us earlier about his work at the Nature Conservancy, and we'll come back to him in a minute. Nominee number 2, we have the Tarrant Regional Water District. They are working tirelessly to improve their stormwater system so that we will have less flooding and less overspill and less pollution running through our neighborhoods. The 3rd nominee is Marilyn Stone. Marilyn is also a hardworking volunteer. She works and keeps the duck pond at Greenbrier Park, and she also is always picking up litter and abandoned fishing line and anything else that can be harmful to the local birds. And our winner is, where's our winner? There's our winner, Brandon Belcher with the Nature Conservancy is our winner of the Conservation Activist Award. And I believe we do have Brandon with us.
Well, thank you, Wendell, and thank you, Julie. Really, it's a great honor. I appreciate Green Source DFW having me here tonight, but I'm humbled by the award. I feel like, frankly, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I work as a natural resource manager. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to work on some very rare ecosystems. I have a great team of folks that work with me and some awesome volunteers. but they should be here to take the credit as well, because I couldn't get the things done that my team does without all of the people that are involved, and far too many to name. But looking forward, one of the really important things that I see across Northeast Texas that I know is important to this group is engaging not just youth, but general citizens that either do or don't recognize how important nature is to them at this point. And so I work in that direction. But again, the successes that we're seeing in this region by no means should be pointed at me. In fact, I'm just a tiny little piece in this across the region. I look at some of our progressive suburban areas that are using really what amount to be radical tools for groups like a municipality to get work done on the ground in conservation. They're focusing on little spaces. We've got landowners that are focused on little spaces. It's not just the large pieces. In fact, the large pieces are few and far between, but we're seeing agriculturalists not stop what they're doing, but change some of their focus so that they can bring some native space back into their world. And all of these different things make a difference. And each of the folks here tonight can make a big difference. Plant native plants, support your local pollinators, encourage wildlife to use your yard in different ways. And we're all making a difference. I'm glad to be here. I'm humbled. And thank you again to GreenSource DFW.
Thank you, Brandon. Tell us real quickly, tell us about your big project that you're working on right now, where you're based out of.
Yes, so I'm based at the Clymer Meadow Preserve, northeast of Dallas. We're focused here on Blackland Prairie, remnant prairie that's never been plowed. Again, a very rare ecosystem. My job is to protect that and to manage that and to do the things necessary to keep it healthy. Involves a lot of different work. We use prescribed fire, grazing, and in the absence of animals on the ground, we use a lot of mechanical work. The space really is based on disturbance. It is a disturbance maintained system. So I joke, but going in and stirring it up, messing things up regularly is a good way to go. In mid-October, we burned here at Clymer about 370 acres. So have a fire team come in, and we do that safely, of course. It is a really important event for us. It does a lot of different things, stimulates regrowth, germination, it stimulates germination of new individual plants, but it also helps to control encroaching brush. But it is a really important part of the system. The other thing that we're doing at this point in the year is collecting a lot of seed. And by a lot, I mean every which way I can. So I have volunteers collecting by hand. We use mechanical tools that also spinning brush type things that will go out and collect seed for us. And then while that's happening, I'm also prepping space where we'll be putting the seed back in the ground. So we're reestablishing natives into areas that are absolutely dominated by exotic species. So we're trying to restart the system in the places where it's in poor condition.
Well, congratulations. You are well deserving of this award, and hopefully when times are better, we can arrange a visit out to the meadow. I think all of us would love to see what you're doing out there.
I'd be glad to have everyone. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Good. All right. The next category is Green Projects or Programs Award. And the maybe I should say a little bit, because say something about our voting process. We used to have voting by anyone and everyone, and you could vote as many times as you wanted. We now try to do a little better system. We have I think we have 5 or 6 judges that are totally independent of all of us, and so they are given the nominations, and then they vote very carefully in multiple categories, and we calculate the vote numbers to determine who is the winner in that particular category. But what's important to all of our nominees, especially in this next category, we have 5 nominees, is that it was absolutely razor close this year. I mean, as in Georgia or Pennsylvania close. Very, very close. And so the nominees that don't win, please keep trying. Don't give up if you don't win the first year. All right, 5 nominees. Number 1, Miss Victoria Howard. Victoria, how I came to meet Victoria is we sort of heard her name floating around, that she was doing recycling up in Collin County of styrofoam. Well, for everyone on this phone call, on this Zoom, you probably know that recycling styrofoam, that's a big deal. That's like the outer edge of the difficulty of recycling. And Victoria took that on and was successful at it. Since then, Victoria has become a member of the executive committee of Dallas Sierra Club. She's one of the new conservation chairs. She's the program chair with Renee Robertson, who I think hopefully is still with us. So Victoria has just become a new superstar and a new wave of our new younger environmentalists. Nominee number 2, City of Fort Worth Residential Food Scrap Composting Pilot Program. Again, to this group, you know, we have a serious landfill problem. We have way too many plastic bags, way too many everything. And one of the other things we have way too much of is food scrap, and food scraps make wonderful compost. So the City of Fort Worth has created their own pilot program, and you see that wonderful picture of some of their people. The number
First in North Texas.
That's right. There you go. Number 3 nominee, PepsiCo Green Team Plano headquarters. They have basically tried and succeeded in turning a giant company, a giant corporation. They have given it a green soul, and they have taken the lead in everything from recycling to green practices to just everything within PepsiCo. They have taken the lead. And it shows you something that I've always suspected, that even in these giant corporations, there's some really good green people that are working there. And I've done work for some of the big banks. I've done some just where you find out that in the worker bees, there are some great environmentalists and some activists. That's nominee number 3. Nominee number 4, in the same area, Compost Carpool. This is on the smaller level. Melissa Pringle, she figured out that a lot of that trash, a lot of that scraps and compost was being wasted. So she provided and started a business that has, for Tarrant County residents, they can hire her to reduce their carbon footprint. And the last nominee in this hotly contested area is Goodwill Fort Worth. Goodwill is certainly one of our, longest standing, great success stories. And they now have a Greenworks program. And what they did was they built a greenhouse, and the greenhouse is used to a lot of their patrons, to show them where their food comes from, and gets their hands dirty. And they've done a wonderful job in the people-to-people level. And we have a winner in this category, and it is the City of Fort Worth Residential Food Scrap Composting Program. Again, hotly contested. The judges were, one judge went one way, another went the other, but the points in the end went to the City of Fort Worth. And I believe we have Flavia with us.
Yay.
Hello, Flavia. Would you please talk to us and tell us?
Thank you. We are very honored. We are very proud of this program. Our compost pilot program has been going on for about a year and a half now. And we have diverted over 70 now, over 70 tons of food waste.
Wow.
In Fort Worth, and that's from less than 1,000 households.
Wow.
It's a pilot program, and so with a pilot, it's experimental. Our number of households and subscribers, compared to some other programs, it's kind of small. It's less than 1,000 households right now, but they are very, very engaged families. They really care about the environment. They really care about extending the life of our landfill. They make that extra effort, to drive to a collection site to bring their food scraps, because with the pilot program, it's not curbside collection. So, we encourage them to carpool their food waste buckets, in their streets and their neighborhoods. bring them, not make a special trip to the collection sites, bring them when they're basically running errands around and they're close to a site, they empty their buckets. But we see, this pilot is building a foundation for a future curbside collection program in Fort Worth. And yeah, we're very proud of its success. The thing that we're most proud of is our very, very low contamination rate of less than 1%.
Wow.
That's a huge deal for a program of its kind. It's a combination, I believe, of communication, education, operations, logistical things that we've done to reduce contamination as well, but less than 1%. It's a huge deal. So anyway, we're very happy with it, and we're very honored for this award. Thank you.
Flavia. That's awesome. Everybody, give Flavia and City of Fort Worth. That is a wonderful program. Okay, let's go on to the next hotly contested category with 4 nominees. For those of you who don't know who Coke Buchanan was, Coke was one of our staff members and actually one of the founders of Memnosyne back with Marianne and Joshua a few decades ago now. And Coke passed away suddenly just a couple of years ago. And he, again, a lot like Lee Kelton, Coke always had a smile, always was willing to do the jobs, that nobody else would sign up for. Coke would always do it. So we've named the Volunteer of the Year award after Coke, and it is one of our most coveted awards. Nominee number 1, Terry Schultz. Terry Schultz is launched the group Women in the Environment 2004, and she has been for nearly 2 decades provided educational field trips to North Texas women while fostering connections. One of our longtime, just wonderful, wonderful people. Nominee number 2, Amy Martin. We know Amy very well. She is one of our writers, but she's also an avid volunteer in the community. She's also the social media coordinator for the Texas Master Naturalist. If you're hearing lots of names going through this program, again, we're all a big family. Master Naturalists, Master Gardeners, Sierra Club, Memnosyne, Green Source, all the different groups. We work together, and thank goodness we do, because we have a big job. Next nominee, Tammy Carson. Tammy is an Arlington-based activist known for her reliability and dedication. So I think Tammy's with us. Tammy, that's nice of things to say. For someone to say, that's quite a compliment. You're a fixture in the environmental scene, volunteer in every local effort to advance environmental protection, racial justice, and animal rights. Nominee number 4, Janet Smith is an active member of the gardening community in Dallas. For over 3 decades, she puts in thousands of volunteer hours, a master gardener, a master naturalist, and a member of the Native Plant Society. So Brandon, that's your kind of people. That's right up Brandon's category, right up his alley. And the winner this year of the Coke Buchanan Volunteer is Tammy Carson. So congratulations to Tammy. And I think we have Tammy with us somewhere.
Here. Well, thank you. I'm grateful for the relentless support and encouragement from my children and my grandchildren, because that's the reason I do the things that I do. And I feel like it's my duty and my obligation to do all I can to make this world a better place. And I want to thank the friends who support and the friends who work independently or with other organizations. And I believe it's all the small contributions that we all make that make a big change. And also I want to give a little shout out to Ranjana Bandari of Livable Arlington for mentioning me for this. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. That is so wonderful. We have one final set of awards tonight that are very important to Green Source DFW. A little bit of background. Each year, right, every other year, we try to find the journalist who really goes out of their way to cover green issues. But over the last 10 years, local media outlets have been, shall we say, moving to other areas and not concentrating on the environment like we want them to and like they should be doing. And so that's exactly how Green Source DFW got started. We were filling that gap that the major newspapers and other organizations were not filling. And so this year, the Environmental Reporting Award goes to our wonderful team. And look at this great pictures. There's Andrea and Andrew, her son, which is amazing. Amy, who is also here. Betsy, one of our new writers. Jim Donkey, John Kent, Marshall Hensley. We love Marshall. Minnie Payne, and Minnie is with us tonight. Julie Ryan, Michael Smith, and of course, the green tip guy, Jason Winningham. And I think we have Jason with us. So please,
Yay!
please.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank y'all. Y'all did so much. I'm so proud of y'all and the work you do.
So, and you actually get awards. We had awards put together, and those will be delivered to you by Judy or myself. So you're getting a real piece of hardware. And I will tell you that these are all professional writers. We're not able to pay them a lot of money, but they do what they do because they love the earth, and they love their mission. And certainly Green Source DFW cannot exist without them. So I think that's our last category. Julie, give me a second here. Let me look over at my award table. If y'all can see behind me all the awards, but I don't know. There's one more award. I don't think. Hey, Julie, I think you messed up. I don't think you put a slide on for the Founders Award. Did you forget that? You forgot that, didn't you?
Hey, no, I didn't get that.
Oh, you didn't get that memo? All right. Well, for everybody listening tonight, the Founders Award is very important to all of us at Memnosyne Institute, and it's an internal award for one of our people who goes way above and beyond the call of duty, is integral to the founding of Green Source, and without this person, Green Source DFW would not be Green Source DFW. So the Founders Award goes to, let's see what it says, Founders Award for Environmental Reporting. I think it says Julie Thibodeau on it. This is our Founders Award for this year. And thank you, Julie.
So much, Wendel. I just, I don't know if my picture's in here anymore.
You say, yeah, we can hear you. Please say something to us.
I just want to thank Marianne and Joshua, the founders of the Memnosyne Institute, for allowing me to follow my bliss. And Philip Shinoda for creating Green Source in 2009. And to my awesome group of reporters who make our publication shine every week. One of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten was from a local activist who said she looks forward to getting the Green Source newsletter and reading about the positive things that are happening in North Texas. And over the years, I've met hundreds of people across North Texas. They're changing our culture for the better, including all the people here tonight. And to get to know you and share your stories and your concerns and your accomplishment inspires me every day. So thank you. Well, we love you, Julie. You are the best. And without you, we would not be the same without your hard work and creativity. And I know your writers love you also. Thanks, Wendel. So I think we're out of awards. So I think it's time for Marianne. Is Marianne still with us? Okay, let's get Marianne on. Do we have Marianne? She was here. I saw her flashed on. Marianne usually has about 14,000 things.
Can you hear me?
There she is. Wonderful. Talk to us, Marianne.
Wonderful. I don't know if you can see me or not.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'm so excited to get to hear all the work that everybody has been doing this year. Every one of you just keeps us all uplifted. You know, this has been, oh, I'm going to be blunt. It's been a hard 3 years. It's been a hard 4 years. But for many of us that care deeply about the environment and recognize how it mixes in with human rights and how you really can't separate one from the other, it has probably hit the hardest. And every single one of you that's out there doing your part has helped those of us that care about the whole picture and the welfare of everyone in our community to have a lot of hope. And hope comes not because we just dream it up. It happens when we're actively doing something, we're actively engaged in changing the world around us through all those small actions that add up. And tonight, I'm extremely excited to introduce to you someone that I find to be truly remarkable, and that's Moses Boyd. And when I talk about someone that understands how human rights and the environment really are so intimately interconnected, Moses is one of those people that embodies it. And he embodies it because he's been somebody who's been an activist. He's been a conscious capitalist. He's been a social responsible investor. He's been somebody up there dealing with politics, trying to convince different people from, you know, all sides of the aisle to work together towards the environment. And if I were to list everything he's been involved in, going all the way, we'd have to go pre-Clinton. But he has been active from those days to today. And today, among the other things, I was asking him earlier, what are some of the things that he was the proudest of? He has something called Max Black Media, in which he is uniting African-American voices and really getting them to speak not just on human rights issues, but on environmental issues as well. He's also has something called the United Coalition to Rebuild a Sustainable America. And among those two things, he is doing a whole lot of work, not just with the current administration and those who are in the past, but trying to say, how do we change things for the better for the environment and for Black communities and for Hispanic communities, Asian communities, white communities, Native American communities. He's truly building bridges between all those different groups of people. And I know that in this time, it's so difficult for us not to get siloed and to feel like it's only us versus the next person. But one of the beautiful things that Moses Boyd is able to do and has demonstrated time and time again is how do you reach across the aisle to someone that you feel absolutely antagonistic with and say, how do we meet in the middle and find commonalities that we can work on together? Moses Boyd is one of those people that is able to not just do that, but to actively engage hundreds of thousands, even millions of people towards that initiative. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce to you guys someone that I think the world of, because he is helping to change our world, Moses Boyd.
Marianne, thank you for that introduction. Hope I can someday live up to that. Indeed, but I really appreciate it. You're a dear friend, and obviously admire the great work that you're doing. One of the reasons we are here tonight discussing these important issues, and just have enjoyed listening to all the great work that's going on, and congratulate all the awardees for their great work. So it's been a pleasure to listen to that. So it's good to see you again. Wendel, thank you. Julie, thank you. And thank you to the entire Green Source and the Institute's organization and folks and leaders. I really, really appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to address you tonight. Indeed, obviously, we would love to have been physically together, but we have to adjust to the situation. But that's just a rhythm of the world right now. But this is indeed an honor. And at this moment, in this time, I often say when I speak, as we gather tonight, and based on all the things that we're doing, that every moment is precious. Every time you get together in a group and speak is precious, because everything we've ever done in life, from the moment we were born, from the moment we took our first breath, has brought us to this place and this time and this moment. Everything we've ever done has brought us here. And so when we gather like this, let's not waste all of that life's investment and not take advantage of it as we connect and listen to each other and learn from each other, knowing that all of us are involved in this battle for a better world, for a better country, for a better community. So again, thank you so much for the ability to address. Whenever I speak, I like to give some background on who I am. I am the product of a lot of people, my mother and father, who grew up in South Carolina. We call it the country. They grew up in the segregated South. My father was a 4th grade educated entrepreneur, worker, worked at a plant, owned his own businesses, and whatever made money, my father did it, from farming to being a barbershop to owning a club, pool room, store, vendor on the street. You name it, my father did it, and he raised 11 kids. It's I, my 2 brothers, and my 8 sisters. And then the person who produced those kids was my mother, Elise Boyd, who was a voting rights pioneer in the state of South Carolina. She worked tirelessly to register African Americans to vote before the passage of the Voting Rights Act, met with Dr. King and others on strategy on how to do that. And shortly after the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965, she was contacted by local leaders and said, "We want to appoint you to something." She said, "What?" They offered to appoint her to the Richland County Board of Voter Registration, which is the county board at the time that was probably one of the largest counties in the state, to oversee voter registration and the whole voting system. And she became the first African American to hold that position. And she said, "This is what God had led me to do." She became chairman of that board of voter registration, and then connected to people around the state and nationwide on the whole process of voting, the whole system of voting, devoted her life to it. And as kids, we were immersed in that. And on Saturday mornings, she would go to the local Piggly Wiggly with her voter registration form, set up her table and chair, and we would be forced to go with her often. And I would never forget one scene. It was a Saturday morning, and there was a young sister walking in. My mother said, "Hey, baby, come over here and register to vote." And her response was, "My vote don't count." And she said, "Oh, baby, you're wrong. Your vote does count. Every vote counts. And in fact, your vote counts even when you don't vote." So even whether you stay home or not, your vote counts, because I count it. It's just that when you fail to use your vote on your own, other people use the power of that vote against you. So you're going to vote whether you vote or not, sweetheart. And the lady went in, and when she came back, she stopped by. My mother helped her fill out the form, and she registered. And I think one point my mother was told that she was not supposed to do that off county time, and her response was, "Fire me." But that's how devoted she was to that. But because she was so involved in the voting system, and she knew all the voters, politicians gravitated to her. And so as a young kid, I was connected to politicians, Republicans and Democrats, through the relationships with my mother. So that really became my entree into understanding the whole political system. But I also understood the importance of voting, the importance of voting to our political system, and addressing the issues that we have to address. Excuse me for a second. I hate to interrupt the speech, but I have to turn this on. I apologize for that. It just started going off. All day, this printer has not printed, and right in the middle of my speech, it's just starts to print everything I've been printing, but that's how it goes. So I apologize for the interruption, but I didn't want the noise in the background. So all my life, I've understood the importance of voting, which is what led me into wanting to become a lawyer. Because I felt I could use the skills to advocate for people and advocate for good causes, and led me into the whole field of public policy. And the reason why I ended up working on Capitol Hill for many years, and it's led me to be an advocate, an entrepreneur. I call myself an entrepreneur advocate. I pursue ventures that have good social, good impact. And I've been fortunate. I've often been asked, people say, "Well, As an African-American, how have you dealt with racism, and faced racism? How has it kept you back? And I say, I'm sure I've faced a lot of racism, but it hasn't stopped me. Like if someone was racist against me, trying to stop me from doing something, I actually feel sorry for them because it didn't stop me from doing the things I wanted to do. And in fact, being dedicated to fighting that is something that is near and dear to me. So just the way I was raised and the way I was oriented brought me to the things I'm doing today, and proud to be here. I know tonight the subject we're addressing is what's the relationship between environmental justice, climate, and social justice. And let's take those first two issues, environmental justice and social justice. Understanding the terms, I'm going to read what the EPA says environmental justice is. It says environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. This goal will be achieved when everyone enjoys what? The same degree of protection from environmental and health hazards, and equal access to decision-making process to have a healthy environment in which to live, learn, and work. That's how they define environmental justice. But the real issue is environmental injustice, because we're not in environmental justice for all. That's what our aim is. What we are is that we're dealing with a lot of environmental injustices. So if that's environmental justice, what is environmental injustice? Environmental injustice, as I define, is the unfair treatment and meaningful involvement of people on the basis of race, color, national origin, income, with respect to development, implementation, enforcement of environmental laws, the unequal protection from environmental laws and health hazards, and unequal access to the decision-making process. That's what environmental injustice is. That's why we are here this evening, because environmental injustice exists, and it exists too fervently in the communities that we come from and that we're advocating for. So what's social justice? Well, in general, you can look it up. In general, people know what social justice is. It's the concept that there's fair treatment and relationships in society. There's equal access to opportunities in society. There's equal enforcement of the laws and regulations in society without regard to race, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, your income, where you're from. That's called social. We live in a society where everyone has equality before the law and equality in society. So what's social? But what we deal with is social injustice, the imbalances of rights and how you're treated by the law and how you're treated in the marketplace. So when we talk about social injustice, we're talking about the lack of access to the same quality of healthcare, the lack of access to the same quality of education, the lack of access to the same degree of economic opportunities, absence of equal treatment by law enforcement. And yes, unfair treatment with respect to environmental hazards. That's called all social injustice. So we come back to the question, can we have environmental justice in a state of social injustice? No, makes no sense. Can we have social justice when there's environmental injustice? No, it's impossible. There's a symbiotic relationship between environmental injustice and social injustice. Why is that the case? I like to say injustice exists because there's an uneven relationship. There's an exploiter and an exploited. And there is injustice because often the exploiter benefits from the injustice. There's some benefit to it, right? If it's cheaper to put your hazardous plants in the poor communities, then that's where you put them. And it's cheaper not just by income, it's cheaper because they may not have any power to fight back. And you can get away with it. And it's almost like social bullying. Why do bullies bully? Mostly because they can. But more importantly, it's because there's no price to bullying. Bullies stop when there's a price. They stop when you hit them back and there's a price to pay. But if there's no price to pay, I can enjoy the unfair treatment of you, the bullying of you. So this august groups come together and say, no, no. And as I heard you say earlier, Wendel, this group comes together because there's someone who can stand in to fight to prevent that kind of social bullying of groups and people. And that's very important. But in order to deal with that, there's a certain currency. One of the things I learned when I arrived in Washington, D.C. and started working for the United States Senate is the only currency Washington respects now is power. There used to be at least 3 forms of power when I got to Washington in November of 1989 that shaped the political process and policymaking. There was obviously money power. There was voting power, the public power of the people, public opinion. But there was also a thing called moral power, called rational reasoning, that objective facts could move members to vote something just on the basis that it was the right thing to do. So that if you were advocating for better health care for children, you could, the NGOs, not the big lobbying groups, but the NGOs and nonprofits could come and they have all this data to show how children were suffering from being in bad environments, or they were suffering needlessly because the school systems they were in were not adequate. And just that data alone and the moral elements associated with it could move members to vote because no one wanted to be opposite of objective facts about that. Unfortunately, I think more rational reasoning is almost disappearing as a means of power. You have all the damn studies you want in the world. It's not moving people. So now we're down to voting power and money power. And that's what moves Washington. And so when you think of how we have to deal with social injustice and environmental injustice, we need power to fight back. We need group power to fight back. And power is actually weighs more, has more impact when it comes from a group than an individual. I like to emphasize, I love watching nature shows. I'm obsessed with the National Geographic because I think we learn a lot about human nature watching shows of nature and watching the animals in their natural state. And I often watch the shows about the lions, and the lions chase the wildebeest, and the wildebeest greatly outnumber the lions by the thousands. One small pride of lions, 6 or 7, and then you have 3,000 or 4,000 wildebeest. The lions creep up on the wildebeest, and the lions want the wildebeest to run. And when the wildebeest see the lions, they run, so they can isolate one and take them down. Make it an individual, they isolate, they scare them off. The lions have to do that to survive, of course. But imagine this. If the wildebeest ever said, we're not running anymore, we're gonna form a circle and show our horns, the lions would never attack them anymore. It would be a futile effort if they tried. But the wildebeest is not oriented that way because the lions have to eat and survive. But we are not wildebeest and we're not lions, but the same relationships happens in society when there's an imbalance of powers and then exploitations because people desire to fulfill the self. But what we can do is what the wildebeest can't do. We can unite as a group of people. And then when we unite, we have the power to fight back if we can keep those lions off of us, which is the very reason, again, why we're here tonight and why this great group exists and the many others that are comparable to who you are and what you do. And that's where we are in society now. We're going to have to come together across class, across race, across sectors, across religions, in order to save our society, not only from social injustices, environmental injustices, but just from ourselves. This is what we have to do. So that when we look at this issue of whether or not we can have one without the other, environmental justice, but no social justice without, it's impossible. Now, there is one, however, unique element to this that puts it all in a different perspective after having said all of that. What is the role of climate change in all of this? Actually, climate change is the mirror of COVID-19. What did I mean? It used to be when we heard about these pandemics like Ebola, well, they come from Africa or South America, and it only affects the people there because they don't have the facilities and wherewithal to fight disease off. We do, we're healthier, so we don't really have to worry about it. And it was isolated. It was kind of there, you read about it, you did the moral thing of raising money for other people in Ebola in Africa, whatever. But COVID is not that. COVID is universal. COVID loves us all. It doesn't matter whether you're poor or rich, it loves your body. It's a living organism that survives with you, and it loves you. It loves all of us. And it doesn't matter if it's in Philippines, it doesn't matter if it's in Mexico, it doesn't matter if it's in Cuba, it doesn't matter if it's in Nigeria. Wherever it is, it'll spread. Somebody's got to travel. And it loves airplanes and gets on them, and it loves everywhere, just traveling. In other words, the idea that you can isolate a community to fight COVID is silly. You can't. So now the whole world had to stop because this virus says, we don't give a damn. We love you all. Whether you're on East, West, Russia, Australia, US, Canada, we love all of you. We are equal opportunists. And so the whole world has had to come together. We have had to come together as communities and a nation. And now the new president-elect says he wants to bring the nation together to fight this horrible threat. Well, that's actually what climate change is. Climate change really doesn't care what country you live in. The environment does not care. When you disrupt it, it's going to disrupt everything. And so the idea that now some people say, well, we know that's climate. We know that it eclipses everything. But what's the right response to it? Well, the same, you heard some of the same responses that you've heard. Well, it's a hoax. Well, climate could be a hoax. It's a hoax until it's real. It's a hoax until it hits you. And a lot of communities who thought it was a hoax are suffering now. And well, I don't have COVID, but I'm sick, but I can't get in the hospital because the hospital is now jammed with COVID patients. Well, now it's real. So it affects you indirectly or directly. Well, those who say, well, climate, I can't see it, so why should I worry about it? Or they say, well, we know the climate is changing, but we didn't cause it. You know what the analogies that is? You have a couple in the house, and one is upstairs watching the football game back in the recline chair. And the spouse says, hey, I'm in the basement, there's a fire, the house is burning. And you know what the response is? I didn't cause the damn fire, so I don't care. Let it burn. Well, that's irrational. And for those who says, well, it's happening, but we didn't cause it, you're sitting in that reclining chair watching your game, the same as the folks who were on top of the Titanic saying, well, we're on top. We're not on the bottom. Just the cooks down there will drown. We're going to be okay. Well, that's just silly. Now we're reading about them in history, unfortunately. Well, Whether you believe climate change or not is really irrelevant because it's happening. And it's an equal opportunist destructive force. And it really doesn't matter. Once you come to the conclusion that it's happening, what caused it really is irrelevant. What caused the fire is irrelevant. If the house is burning down, you have to do something about it. So I don't even understand those who says, well, it's happening, but since it's not man-made, I don't have to adjust. What's happening, so I don't have to get out of my reclining chair to deal with the fire because I didn't start the fire. That is utterly silly. I would rather them say it's not even happening as a hoax than to be that idiotic to say, well, it's happening, but I didn't cause it, so I don't care. Now, either way, we have to deal with that. We feel it now. We're almost at a point that we're not going to stop climate change. We have to mitigate it. We have to adjust to it. We have to build the infrastructure to survive it at this point. But that's what's going to have to happen. If the people aren't aware, that means we haven't worked hard enough. That means we haven't found the right solution. That means we haven't found the right message. We can't say that, well, they're stupid. They're stupid means nothing. We have to then keep fighting to do a better job with this cause. So when we talk about climate change, it makes social injustice and environmental justice moot. Because when this destruction comes, it's going to hit everybody. When the floods come, the floods they may hurt poor communities worse because the infrastructure is bad. But if it's powerful enough, when the hurricanes are powerful enough, it really doesn't care. It'll take out the golf courses and the resorts and everything else. That's called climate, the destructive force of climate change. And now it's getting worse. Look at all these hurricanes. Look at all the fires. The changes are happening around us. And God has given us the ability to deal with it, but we're ignoring it. Well, many of us are not ignoring it. There are people who warned us about COVID and its effects, and they were ignored, and now it's real. But we still have to fight it. Just as we need to come up with a vaccine to deal with COVID, we got to come up with a vaccine to deal with climate. But the doctors are you. The doctors are the people in this room on this video. And we, again, if we haven't convinced the public enough to act, then that means we haven't done our job. We can't pat ourselves on the back because we have to do better, because we have to survive. And this is why I'm honored to speak to you, because I know the people involved in this group, you're fighting every day. And if we beat this big behemoth back, we're going to open the door for what truly is environmental justice. And we're going to open the door for what truly is social justice in our communities, in our country, and in our world. I appreciate, again, the opportunity to speak. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have, but thank you again so much. I wish we had longer to talk and engage, but thank you so much.
Great job, Moses. Thank you so much. Okay, Wendell should be coming on.
There we go. Thank you, Moses. That's a connection that I didn't think about between COVID and climate change, but you're right. It's an equal opportunity menace.
Yes.
And but also I think we're learning from this last election, because I remember 4 years ago when I was standing up at the Arboretum, we were all in shock from 4 years ago, but I think the vote tallies that we just saw have proved to us that we need to do a better job of educating the other side, that our message is not getting through the way we want it to get through. So I think that's we obviously have technical challenges, but I think we have an educational challenge, and we really appreciate you coming on with us and talking to us and sharing it all with us. We've had a great evening. Mary Ann, anything more from you?
Yes, I'd like to just add to something that Moses was talking about. Hello? Somebody's walking around. I don't know who's walking around with their cat, but it's pretty loud. But anyway, what I'd like to just add to what Moses was saying there was that right now, so many of us are, are dealing with people from different demographics that are very understandably angry, very understandably frustrated. And I think that unless we are willing, who's walking around with their baseball cap, can you mute?
There. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry. But anyway, I think right now we're in a place where there's understandably so much angst, and most of us involved in the environment are on the progressive side of things, which is natural to us. And I'm going to say something I was speaking with Moses about earlier tonight because I think it's something that those of us on the progressive side need to articulate. A number of my progressive friends have been very angry that I've maintained relationships with people on the conservative side through all this. And one of the things that I've spoken about is by virtue of often being the only brown person in a room, I often end up being the means that people start questioning the rhetoric of what they've been told about people that look like me. And similarly, those of us who are involved in the environment, we have to take advantage of the fact that since we live here in the Bible Belt, we work with people from all demographics, and we need to take advantage of that to place an opportunity out there for greater communication, greater collaboration, and not be so gung-ho angry in terms of making them pay, but more about how do we engage you? Why did you not feel like you're being heard? Where are you hurting? And how does our message resonate with you? How can it resonate with you? How can we help you recognize that what we're fighting for is also standing up for you? We need to be able to articulate that if we're going to help all progressive movements, whether it's human rights or the environment, to move forward. And I just hope that those of us here in Texas that are more progressively minded keep that in mind, that we're uniquely geographically located, and we have a responsibility that comes with that. So I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like Moses's voice is one that is so deeply relevant. And I feel like that's something that those of us with Green Source DFW and with the Memnosyne Institute need to be thinking about right now.
Well, Marion, let me say this. We did speak about that earlier. And in the game of politics, Bob Dole had a saying, you either have the votes or you don't. You can be a purist all you want, but if you don't have the votes, it's not going to pass. Purists are those who are willing to fail and willing to let the problem get worse, because if it's my way or the highway, then often it's the highway, unless you have the power. But if you had the power, you wouldn't even have to debate whether or not you're a purist. You just do what you want to do. So by the time you're debating and complaining that you were the other person, that tells me you don't have the votes yet. Because otherwise you wouldn't waste your time speaking to me about talking to someone else. If you already had the votes, the damn thing would already be done. So, or you have not done a good job of building a coalition around that. But if it's my way or the highway and we make no progress, what have we accomplished? And maybe it's not going to all happen in one fell swoop. Maybe we have to pass phase one and phase two to deal with this problem. But if we are all down at the bottom of the mountain and the only food left is at the top of the mountain, we better be thinking about every lane to get there, as opposed to say there's only one technique to get to the mountain, to the top of the mountain. That makes no sense to me. And I say this as I come at this issue of climate change, environmental justice. I've been on the policy side of this at the state level on the environmental laws. I've been on the policy side of this at the federal level. I have been an advocate of Leaving the Hill on this cause. I have been a supporter of NGOs and nonprofits on this cause, and I've been in the business of renewable energy, a renewable energy private equity fund. I've lost money trying to promote renewable energies. So I come at it from every angle. So anytime you want to debate me about working with the other side, building coalitions, I'm here anytime, any day. We either have the votes or we don't.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Moses.
Thank you, Marianne, for everything, and Julie, and thank you for everybody for staying on. We had nearly 50 people tonight, which considering we weren't serving wine or a buffet, is really awesome that we had such a good turnout. And we have used up all of our time. And I will say goodnight, and we will just obviously go to greensourcedfw.org. And Julie will have another wonderful issue out, I'm sure, next week. And we will see everybody next year, and hopefully we will be together. And Moses, you and I can find that barbecue joint.
Absolutely. You promised me that, Wendel.
I know I did. I promise. I will follow through.
Okay.
Thank you, Moses.
Thank
Good night,
you,
everyone.
I appreciate it.
Great
Was
job.
Yolanda going to give us a blessing?
No, Yolanda's not going to join us tonight.
Oh.
Isn't that right, Julie?
Yeah, she was not feeling well and wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, and in place of her blessing, I will just recommend something for everybody. There is a relatively new autobiography out of Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't write an autobiography, but a professor out of Stanford painstakingly took all of the writings and letters of MLK Jr. and put it into a wonderful book, like it is an autobiography. And I recommend that to everyone. And because one of the big chapters is the power of the vote. 1957, MLK Jr. saying, "You give us the votes and we'll solve these problems."
Right.
So recommend that to everybody. And again, thank you, Moses, for joining us. And we will hopefully see everyone next year at the Arboretum.
Absolutely.
Good.
Thank you. In
Thank
closing,
you.
I just would like to add one last thing. However you believe Spirit, God, Creator to be, may Spirit continue to walk with us and all the work that all of you are doing. Every one of you helps inspire so many people around you. And the most important thing we have going for all of us at this point in time is having hope and being an inspiration to others as we lift our community forward, because we need it more than ever. So thank you for your work, sincerely.
Good. Good night, all.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Matt. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.